Structuring a cut can be really overwhelming, especially with how much information is out there on the internet. So, today, I'm going to give you a few simple steps to get started, and let's get going. The first thing that we're going to do is decide how much food you'll be eating per day. So, you're going to go to some type of calorie counting website. I like calculator.net, and you can use your phone, PC, whatever, but go ahead, open that up, and enter your basic information. Do your best to be completely honest here with information like workouts, because if you're not saying correct information there, it's not going to give you a good estimate for how much you should be eating. Once you have all of that filled out though, it's going to give you a range of how much you should be eating to lose a certain amount per week. Now, that's when you decide your goal. Do you want to lose 1 pound per week, 2 pounds per week, 1.5? Just make a decision that you know you could feasibly stick to. If you make a choice and you want to change it in the future, that is completely okay. Nothing's locking you in. Just choose which one you want to start with. For most of the people out there, if you're like me, you're going on a cut because you built up some muscle and now you want to see it. That being said, if you're going on a cut, one of the most important macros that you should be looking at is your protein. The average recommended amount is 1 gram for every pound that you weigh. So when I started my cut at 216, I was eating 216 grams of protein per day. And now that I'm 200, I'm eating 200 grams per day. What that means for you is the second goal you should be establishing is how much protein to get per day. The final thing that we need to establish is an end goal, because if you're just endlessly trying to lose weight without anything in mind, it's going to be really hard to both keep motivation and keep that up indefinitely. At least for me, I feel like if you don't have an end goal in sight, it's a lot harder to be happy with the progress you're making. For example, again, I started at 216 pounds, I got down to 200. That was a really big milestone for me. The next one I'm going for is 190, and that's where I'm planning to stop for the indefinite future, because I like to be a little bit heavier. But I need something to work toward. And once you've got those 3 goals established, go ahead and write them down somewhere. Whether that's a journal or your notes app or tattooing them on your palm. Somewhere that you can consistently look at those and make sure you're keeping up with where you want to be. That's what we want. Now that we've got all of our goals established, let's go ahead and start counting calories, because that's probably one of the most important pieces. A lot of people have this natural inclination to want to completely swap their diet, completely change everything up, just rice, chicken, all of that. We're not doing that. What I want you to do is go ahead and get some type of calorie counting app. I would recommend MyFitnessPal. If you want to use another one, I'm not sponsored, do whatever you want. But when you get the app, you're going to go ahead and start by logging your calories for about a day or two. The reason we do this is because I want you to ultimately take the majority of your normal meals and just shift them a little bit to better match your diet. So let's look at how we can shift some of those meals. Now, the biggest thing here is this is not a comprehensive list. This is just a few items that I felt like the small changes made a really massive amount of difference with my calorie count. Let's start with typical meals. For example, I use a lot of beef. I know beef is fattier than chicken, so I went ahead and started buying 96.4 beef. Now, that feels like a kind of small difference between 93.7 or 90.10, but honestly, these are super low calorie. A half pound of this beef is literally less than 300 calories, compared to a typical maybe 90.10 would be closer to 400 or 500. Similar changes we can also make. I am a ranch lover. I put probably about 500 calories of ranch on stuff before I started cutting. Now I use ranch seasoning. Gives me that same kind of satisfaction to my brain, but, you know, it's basically 0 calories. One last kind of minor change we got is oil. Now, typically when you're cooking something, I know it's really tempting to just drizzle this all over the place, but a lot of people forget 1 tablespoon is 120 calories. It's these small things that we really don't think about that add up a ton. So, if you're cooking with oil, if you're making chicken, go ahead, make sure you measure that out. That'll help quite a bit. In terms of snacks, I love sugar. I crave sugar. I used to eat like an entire container of ice cream every single Saturday. It was bad. So, I still have those cravings. What did I do to negate those? First off, there are some healthier options. For example, Halo Top cookie dough ice cream. Really good. 300 calories for this whole tub. I could eat it, make it fit in my meal budget. Not bad. Same thing for fudgesicles. These things, literally 40 calories each, gets that satisfaction out of wanting like ice cream or something similar, but really low calorie, not too much of a sacrifice for your daily meals. You might be thinking, looking at all of those though, obviously besides the meat, how am I getting my protein in? Well, there's a lot of good snacks. For example, this is Chobani Flips. Yogurt, still again, kind of gives me that feeling of eating something sweet like a treat, but pretty decent, protein. Not the best thing on earth, but could be a lot worse. Final thing, my beloved, diet soda. I hate to admit that I drink like 24 of these a week, but they're honestly pretty good at negating some of that hunger you might be getting. 0 calories again. I might die at 30 from the aspartame, but like that, that's a while away. After tracking on MyFitnessPal or something similar for a few days, this is when I would say that you should look through your options, go to the store, and see where you can start replacing items for low calorie. That way you're keeping the meals you enjoy, you're not changing up too much from your structure so that you would just, quit this in a couple days. But you can still make some changes to help out quite a bit. Alongside all of that, if you're struggling to hit those protein goals we mentioned earlier, you might just have to add some more meat or protein shakes into your diet as well. I usually drink about 2 protein shakes per day. Each one is about 25 grams of protein, so that makes up almost 50 total. And then I usually eat about a half pound of beef or chicken a day, if not a little bit more, which also accounts for quite a bit of it. Other than that, I drink Fairlife chocolate milk. That's pretty good. Again, the protein yogurt. There's just a lot of things you'll find that you can implement into your diet that get that number up really quickly. He was a boy, she was a girl. Now that we've got your food all figured out, let's go ahead and talk about some changes in the fitness department. First off, you're going to want to make some adjustments to how many reps and sets that you're doing. Now think about it. If you're eating less food, you're going to have less energy fueling you, so you might have to lower the amount of sets. You might have to go a little bit less on the reps. But if you find something that's using less energy but still maintaining your muscle, that is really good. For me personally, all I did is I went from 3 sets to 2 sets on basically all of my workouts, and that worked really well for me. That being said, just know your body, try out a couple different things. If you end up wanting to do the same as you've been doing and that works well for you, go for it. You're gonna hear a lot of opinions about this on the internet, but ultimately, all of our bodies are different. So everything that this person says or that I say is not going to apply universally, just generally speaking for the most part. And finally, that brings us to cardio. Cardio is obviously a staple of most cuts. All I would say is just aim for about 30 minutes of it a day. Some days I do an hour, it's not a huge deal. Your ultimate goal is just to burn more calories than you would generally speaking, but just find something you enjoy. Some days I use the elliptical, some days I do incline walking, some days I just try to hit my 10,000 steps by walking around outside. As long as you're getting some really active movement in, it's gonna be a lot better than nothing. I would just say find something you enjoy so you can maintain it consistently though. It's the final countdown! So with all of that being said, let's go ahead, talk about some final little tips and call it good. First off, this wasn't mentioned anywhere else, but I did want to briefly talk about the idea of cheat meals. For me, what I would do is every single Friday would be my quote unquote cheat day. Now, generally that mainly just meant dinner. Me and my girlfriend would go out and eat somewhere, whether that's, Chipotle, which is a little healthier, or Red Robin with like 5 baskets of fries. I just didn't stress about dinner. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't sometimes make smarter choices. Like a lot of the time I would order Diet Coke instead of normal Coke because I'm saving on a good few hundred calories, but it was more so just I didn't want to stress myself out too much. If you do your best to stay on this perfect regimen the entire time, I'm gonna be honest, you're probably gonna burn out. It's hard to do that consistently. That's why giving yourself at least one night every week to be able to go ham and satisfy some of those food cravings is really helpful for the longevity of maintaining this for a while. Because I, again, did this for 2 months. I still lost 2 pounds every week, despite the fact that I had those cheat meals. That kind of ties into the next idea of being gentle on yourself. It's really easy if you mess up on a day to just go, oh, well, okay, I give up. I suck. I messed up my cut. Don't do that. If you make a mistake for a day, just do your best to pick it up tomorrow. Now, if you make a mistake and you eat way too much and then the next day you eat way too much and the next day, yeah, that's not gonna go well. You can't be that gentle, but just be willing to forgive yourself, get over it, keep moving, you'll be fine. So that's how I structure a cut. Again, if you have specific questions about any of these areas we talked about, go ahead and look those up on your own in those more specific sections, because this was just meant to be a very, very, very broad overview. Not super specific about any one area, but more so just getting you started, making you feel a little more confident in yourself so you can get going. If you found this video helpful or it helps you make some significant progress, please feel free to leave a comment. I would love to read those, and I will see you guys later.